Hello everyone, welcome to the 17-Mile Story Collection. Today we'll dive into the immortal cultivation diary of the young Zhao Sr. The trading hall was packed, buzzing with excitement. But Zhao Sun? He had zero interest in the so-called creation pill. Watching the price skyrocket, he could only feel pity for Zhao Cheng. His senior brother had no chance of winning this one. And then, out of nowhere, Zhao Cheng shouted, 230 soul-seizing pills. That's my limit. The hall went silent. 230 was already outrageous. But the seller just sneered. 230? Dream on. Unless you have 2,000, don't even think about my pill. That arrogant tone, it struck Zhao Sun like lightning. Could it be Zhao Bu? He couldn't tell. The man's whole body was hidden in a shroud of black mist. The deal fell apart, and the host quickly moved things along. Then it was Zhao Sen's turn. He stepped forward, pulled out a small vial, and said, 1 drop equals 1 soul-seizing pill. Around 100 drops inside. I'll only trade for formulas above the 3rd level of qi refining. He popped the lid open. A wave of pure energy spread through the hall. Eyes widened. Someone shouted, I'll trade you the 4th layer formula. Zhao Sun raised a brow. Only the 4th. Another voice. Then I'll add more, the 4th, 5th, and 6th layers together. But Zhao Sun shook his head. I want every formula from the 3rd to the 15th. The hall froze. A disciple laughed. Junior brother, you're asking for the impossible. Even our strongest, second brother Zhongquang, only reached the 6th layer. Beyond the 9th, only the elders have those formulas. Zhao Sun hesitated, when suddenly a cold voice rang out. If you have 200 drops, I'll trade you every formula from the 4th through the 9th. Everyone turned. A young man in purple robes walked in. About 20 years old. His face was icy. He hadn't even bothered to disguise himself. The moment he appeared, the hall trembled. Disciples bowed instantly. Greetings, second brother. But the purple-robed man ignored them all. His gaze locked straight onto Zhao Sun. Do you have 200 drops? Zhao Sen's heart skipped a beat. The aura rolling off this man, it was crushing, suffocating, terrifying. Stronger than Master Niu Daju. Stronger than senior brother Zhang. This was on a whole different level. At the trading hall, Zhao Sun said calmly, This liquid, I stumbled upon it by chance. Aside from these 100 drops, I've only got a few dozen left for myself. I don't have 200. The purple-robed man paused, then with a flick of his hand, tossed over a jade slip. Fine. Give me the rest, and the formulas are yours. Zhao Sun scanned it with his divine sense, confirmed it was real, then pulled out another vial. He set both on the ground, careful not to get too close. With a wave of his hand, the purple-robed man drew the bottles straight into his grasp. He glanced inside, nodded, and said coldly, If you ever find more of this liquid, come to the back mountain. Whether it's a creation pill, a flying sword, a jade talisman, even formulas beyond the 10th layer, I can get for you. He swirled his sleeve and left without another word. Zhao Sen's eyes narrowed. That one sentence was venomous. Others might not catch it, but he knew those words had painted a target on his back. The message was clear. Anyone who wanted treasure, all they had to do was come after Zhao Sen's liquid. And already, he could feel the stares. Hidden. Sharp as needles. But Zhao Sun had prepared for this. Calmly, he waited until the gathering ended. Then, without warning, he slapped dozens of talismans onto his legs. In a flash, his body shot forward like a sword, vanishing into the night. Zhao Cheng was quick to follow, mimicking him with talismans of his own. The other disciples who had revealed valuables weren't stupid either. They all bolted one after another. Those who had set their sights on Zhao Sen's liquid? They were left dumbfounded. By the time they thought to chase, he was already gone. Some of the stronger disciples had the power to pursue, but this was still an official sect gathering. If someone died here, the consequences would be disastrous. Zhao Sun raced on, slapping talisman after talisman onto his legs. The speed stacked higher and higher, until he was little more than a streak of light. Within moments, he was back inside the sect. But he didn't relax. The one he feared most was still that purple-robed man. Instead of returning to his usual quarters, he found an abandoned hut and stayed hidden until dawn. Only after the disguise pill wore off, and his true face returned did he step out. Thankfully, no one suspicious crossed his path. Back at the chores hall, Zhao's son sealed himself in meditation. With formulas from the 3rd through the 9th layers of qi refining finally in hand, he could rest easier. And so his days turned quiet, secluded. But across the entire sect of Penglai Pavilion, a tense atmosphere was slowly spreading. At the end of the year, the entire Penglai Pavilion was ablaze with tension. Why? Because of the annual grand competition. Make it into the top 10, and you'd earn treasures, magic weapons, pills, spirit stones, talismans. Everything a cultivator could dream of. But the true prize? The sect master had put up a legendary treasure, the twin moon rings. An heirloom from 300 years ago. A rare artifact that combined offense and defense. The disciples were desperate for it. Among the new recruits, everyone believed there was no suspense. The rookie champion was bound to be Zhao Bu. As for the registered disciples tournament, it meant everything. It was the turning point of their lives. No one was taking it lightly. But Zhao's son? None of this had anything to do with him. He spent his days in seclusion, practicing cultivation, and honing his gravity technique. On the day before the competition, he finally stepped out of the chores hall and made his way toward the main courtyard. By now, he had mastered a concealment technique. With a single thought, he suppressed his aura, making himself appear no stronger than a disciple who hadn't even stepped into qi refining. His goal was simple: find an excuse to go down the mountain and train in peace. At the herb garden, he bowed respectfully and called out, "Disciple Zhao's son, requesting to see master." From inside came a voice dripping with impatience. "What do you want?" Zhao's son kept his tone humble. "Master, my cultivation is too weak. I cannot hope to win tomorrow's competition. I fear I'll bring you shame. So, I'd rather not participate." Niu Dazhu, his master, snorted. "Humph. At least you know your place. Your uncle Dao Su's disciple Zhao Bu, he's already at the peak of qi refining's 1st layer, ready to break through to the 2nd. You, even if you enter, you'll be crushed. Pathetic. And to think you're related by blood. What a disgrace." Zhao Sun only smiled faintly. "Zhao Bu's talent is far beyond mine. He is not someone I can compare to." There was a pause, then Niu Dazhu asked coldly, "And what of the gourds? Have you found any more this past half-year?" Zhao Sun shook his head, feigning frustration. "Disciple has gone to the spring many times, but no more gourds have appeared." "Then get lost. Every time I see you, I feel sick. Useless thing." Zhao's son stayed calm. He bowed once more. "Master, it is dull staying on the mountain every day. I wish to go down the mountain for a while, and return after the new year. Would that be allowed?" "Down the mountain? Absolutely not." Niu Dazhu snapped. "In fact, you reminded me, 4 years from now is the exchange gathering with the Xiandao sect. The sect master has ordered that, starting after the new year, most inner disciples will undergo 4 years of training. You will join them. I won't have you shaming me at that exchange." "Training?" Zhao's son was momentarily stunned. Elder Niu Dazhu's expression was cold, his voice calm, yet heavy. "This has been the sect's rule for centuries. On the surface, our Penglai Pavilion and Xiandao sect appear cordial, but beneath that, rivalry runs deep. In the past 100 years, every exchange has ended with us in defeat. The shame is unbearable. That is why the sect master has ordered 4 years of training for all disciples, starting after the new year. If you achieve nothing during this period and disgrace me again at the exchange 4 years later, I will cast you out with my own hands." His words carried no room for argument. A sigh rose silently in Zhao Sen's heart. The thought of training outside the sect had turned into wishful thinking. Seeing Niu Dazhu's tone brooked no dissent, Zhao's son simply bowed his head and gave a respectful nod before retreating. Back in the chores hall, he pondered quietly. Since leaving was no longer possible, he would have to use the upcoming training to find another path forward. The next day, the sect tournament began. The mountain was filled with noise and excitement. Disciples gathered from all corners. Zhao's son, however, did not go to watch. Instead, he stayed in seclusion, breathing and refining his qi, stabilizing his 2nd level of qi condensation. Days later, through whispers among the disciples, Zhao Sun learned that senior brother Zhang had taken first place, but only because the purple-robed disciples had not appeared. As for the new disciples, Zhao Bu had unsurprisingly taken the title of Rookie King, and his arrogance grew without bounds. A week later at dawn, the grand bell of Penglai Pavilion suddenly rang out. Its solemn sound echoed across the mountains 5 times in succession. That was the signal all inner disciples must immediately gather in the Great Hall. Yet Zhao Sun remained within his dream realm unaware. Only when the door of the Chores Hall was kicked open did he awaken with a start. Niu Daju stood there, face dark, eyes cold as ice. Without a word, he reached out, seized Zhao Sun, and soared into the sky on a streak of light. Moments later, they descended before the grand hall of the sect. With a flick of his sleeve, Niu Daju said in a low, frigid voice, "Go inside. If you shame me again, I will end you, even if it costs me punishment." The words were plain, yet laced with killing intent. Zhao Sen's eyes flickered. He lowered his head and replied softly, "Yes, master." The grand hall loomed vast, lined with towering statues of ancient patriarchs. A solemn, suffocating aura pressed down from all sides. Following Niu Daju's steps inside, Zhao Sun immediately felt dozens of gazes converge upon him, making his breath tighten. He lowered his eyes, not daring to meet theirs. More than 40 disciples stood within, robes of black, white, and red among them, though not a single one in purple. Several familiar faces caught his eye. Zhao Bu, the Su girl, the Zhou woman, senior brother Zhang. At the front sat over a dozen elders, cold and stern. At the very center, a man of 40 in a blue robe, immortal bearing, gazed sharp as lightning. His eyes landed on Zhao Sun, and his voice was calm, yet carried weight like a mountain. "Junior brother Niu, this is your disciple." Niu Daju's expression turned respectful at once. Bowing slightly, he said, "Sect master, this boy is indeed my disciple. Zhao Sun, he entered late, and did not understand the meaning of 5 bell tolls. That is why he came late." Truly, like master, like disciple. "Junior brother Niu, this disciple of yours is just as dim-witted as you were back in the day." A red-faced elder, seated on the right, sneered. "Senior brother, that's not quite right. At least when junior brother Niu was young, his talent met the minimum standard. He was far better than this disciple of his." Another elder beside him laughed. Niu Daju's face flushed red, then pale. He turned and shot a vicious glare at Zhao Sun, gave a cold snort, and could not even be bothered to argue back. He simply walked to the empty seat on the left and sat down. The man in blue frowned, casting a cold glance at Zhao Sun before ignoring him. His voice grew solemn. "As I have already said, this training must yield results. 4 years from now, when we exchange with the Xiandao sect, we cannot afford to lose. From today onward, you will enter the back mountain. Each of you has a designated cultivation ground. You are to remain in seclusion, raise your cultivation, and compete for spirit pills. The sect has allotted 10,000 pills for this purpose. During this period, you may not leave the back mountain. Do you all understand?" All of the inner sect disciples responded in unison. The man in blue gave a slight nod and continued, "I expect that in 4 years one of you will be wearing violet robes. Violet robes signify a core disciple of Penglai Pavilion, far above an inner disciple. Enough. You know well the weight of such a title. Now, I will send you to the back mountain. Arrangements for your training grounds will be made once you arrive." With a sweep of his wide sleeve, a streak of white light shot forth, circling the great hall once. The man gave a sharp command. "Open." The white light expanded without limit, transforming into a glowing curtain that enveloped all the inner disciples. "Go," he barked. At once the curtain rippled, and in a flash it vanished from the hall. A gentle warmth spread through Zhao Sen's body. His vision blurred, then cleared again, only to find himself standing in a secluded valley. The spiritual energy here was far denser than outside, and faint sounds of running water echoed in the distance. Looking around, he saw every inner disciple equally astonished, gazing about in wonder. The valley held no trees or plants, only a sheer cliff face pocked with countless hive-like caves. Some were sealed with great boulders. Suddenly, Zhao Sun felt a gaze upon him. Turning, he met the cold, mocking stare of Zhao Bu, whose eyes brimmed with disdain. Just then, a young man in violet robes flew out from one of the cliffside caves. His sharp eyes swept over the group as he spoke in a deep, cold voice. "Junior brothers, this is the back mountain of Punlai Pavilion. Though we call it the back mountain, it is not truly behind the sect. This place was forged 500 years ago by several nascent soul patriarchs working together, created solely as a training ground for inner disciples. Its spiritual energy far surpasses that outside. Since you are here, seize every moment for cultivation. Do not slack off, otherwise, do not blame me for casting you out." Zhao's son recognized him instantly, his second senior brother, Zhang Kuang, the one who had once exchanged spiritual spring water with him. It was said Zhang Kuang had already reached the 6th level of qi condensation, his strength unfathomable. Zhao's son lowered his head slightly. He knew too well this man's cunning, how, with just a few words, he had pushed him into danger that day. Any qi condensation formulas up to the 7th level are available with me. If you reach a level and lack the proper technique, you may come to me. After I verify your progress, I will provide one. As for your training grounds, any cave not sealed by stone may be chosen freely. Here are your spirit-seizing pills, 50 bottles, each with 50 pills, replenished once a year. With a wave of his hand, 50 small milky white bottles appeared on the ground. One by one, the inner disciples stepped forward, silently taking a bottle each before seeking out a cave. Taking a deep breath, Zhao's son told himself that after having used the transforming form and voice pill, there was no way Zhang Kuang could recognize him. He walked forward and picked up a bottle. Standing at the side, Zhang Kuang watched each disciple. When his eyes landed on Zhao's son, his expression turned odd. "What is your name? You haven't even reached the 1st level of qi condensation. Who is your master?" Zhao's son halted, turned, and bowed respectfully. "Senior brother, I am Zhao's son, disciple of Master Niu Daju. Perhaps my aptitude is lacking. To this day, I have yet to reach the 1st level." Zhang Kuang was momentarily stunned, then let out a laugh. "So you are Wang Zhao's son? I've heard of you. Talent is indeed important, but perseverance is the true key to immortality. If your aptitude is poor, then you must work even harder." Zhao's son hurriedly voiced his agreement. "Very well. The cliff is steep, and since you have not even reached the 1st level, you likely cannot climb to a cave on your own. I will lend you a hand." With a flick of his sleeve, a surge of force lifted Zhao's son and carried him to the mouth of a cave before dissipating. Zhao's son bowed in thanks, then turned and stepped into the cave. At once his face darkened. Had it not been for that incident in the past, he might have believed his second senior brother to be kindly and approachable. Unfortunately, he had long since seen the man's true face, and would. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please leave a comment, give it a like, and share it with others. Your support gives me even more motivation.